now the conversation becomes, Austin, so let's talk about this. If Joey is granted this eligibility, if he does win this lawsuit, which I feel like the chances probably increased given all the current new information, I think the chances have increased. So if he does get this extra eligibility, what does that mean for our 2026 team, right? We've got three quarterbacks on the roster now. What happens there? What happens with, the starter? Obviously, and then also, Austin, the question is what's the situation with Aguilar and, him coming back to Tennessee? Let's talk about all this.
Yeah. So, and I'll kind of start with that because I want to go back to something you said earlier with Danny White following the rules. Remember, the guy Joey has hired, Cam Norris, didn't just help win suits against the NCAA. It was on behalf of us. It was on behalf of Tennessee and the NIL rules behind NIL in the Nico situation, unfortunately. But kind of wish that went the other way. You know what I mean? Because then we maybe anyway. Point being is that that makes me think that the Tennessee brass is behind this, right? Like, and specifically, hey, like, go get this guy. He's beat the NCAA before. And, maybe we're paying for some of those lawyer fees and whatnot. Like, that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, Blake, everyone's feeling the heat around here. Everyone's feeling the heat. Heupel's feeling the heat. I mean, you can't admit. Anyone who's followed the offseason has to admit that Heupel feels the heat. He does because of just how he's handled the offseason. I also think Danny White's feeling the heat. I think he's tired of people in his mentions talking about, hey, what about that entertainment district? Like every time we lose a basketball game or a football game, people tweeting about the entertainment district. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if they're also behind this saying, hey, Joey, go get Cam Norris. He's won before. Use these other situations to beat the NCAA so you can come back for 2026. With that being said, if they are behind it, Blake, that kind of answers your other question, which is what it means is that Joey would be the undeniable starter, especially, again, if Heupel and Danny White and we're pushing this, if we're pushing this at all, and maybe we're not, maybe I'm wrong about that, but if we are, that means they also believe Joey gives us the best chance to win next year, which just makes sense. He got the experience, whatever, second year in the system. The interesting question I have about it, Blake, is what does it mean for specifically George McIntyre's future here? Because things get a little murky. Like McIntyre, listen, remember, just a couple weeks removed, Blake, we're talking about him on the boat with all the receivers. They're down in Miami training. Like, it definitely seemed like McIntyre thought he was going to be the guy. But if Joey comes back, you're definitely not going to be the guy. Like Joey's going to be the starter. So the question would be, it's like, and McIntyre can't transfer now because remember, Blake, the spring portal window is no longer open. That's not a thing anymore. The spring window does not exist anymore. So McIntyre would be forced to stay on the roster. And then at that point, you'd have year 2 Faison Brandon versus year 3 George McIntyre, basically battling it out for the 2027 QB1 spot. So a lot of interesting discussions around this, and if Joey's going to come back or not.
What seems obvious is, okay, if he is granted eligibility and it is a lock that, hey, the coaching staff is trying to get him back. The university is helping to try to get him back. And we'll figure out the politics of like, hey, sorry, Ryan Stowe, sorry, we got our quarterback back. You can go now.
But he's never. That's the thing. I don't think he was ever a part of the QB1 plans in 2026. Ryan Stowe. I think it was going to come down to McIntyre and true freshman Faison Brandon. So it's an interesting discussion about all this, man, because it's like. It also creates an awkward moment if Faison is who everyone thinks he is, and he comes in and he looks really good in spring ball. This has got me thinking too, because it also depends on what's the timeline of Joey's new suit now? Like, how quickly are they going to be able to
Yep.
get this done? Because again, the February 10th deadline is no longer a thing. Like, anyone who still has that court date in their mind, just get rid of that, because Joey is no longer part of that case. So if it takes a couple months, Blake, and we don't get the answer until March or April, but Faison comes in, or even McIntyre has developed and looks really good in spring ball, then it's one of those awkward things where it's like, well, I mean, do we want to go for the box, the big pretty 5-star box that we don't know what's inside yet? Or do we want to go with the sure thing in Aguilar? It's going to be interesting, dude. And yeah, so I don't know. I do think Joey wants to be back here, though. Like, I think that's for sure the case. I think he wants to be back. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out.
We'd love to have Joey back, but it does create those awkward situations, Austin, that you're talking about, right? What happens? What happens with George McIntyre? Because honestly, Austin, you and I, we've talked about on this podcast. If it's GMAC, we're ready to ride with him, baby. So be it. Let's go all in on GMAC. But now, excuse me, if Joey Aguilar comes back, what does that do to that situation? Could get awkward. Could hopefully it doesn't, cause a bad situation. I don't want to lose Faison. I don't want to lose GMAC.
I don't either.
But ultimately, Joey does probably give us the best chance to win.
And I am intrigued by the box of George McIntyre and even Faison. I'm intrigued by it, man, because we've noticed this on the show. Joey's play did fall off towards the end of the year. It wasn't perfect, but I will say it didn't help that he was rocking up with the 100th ranked defense in FBS every week. Like, that didn't help. It didn't help that he had to beat Vanderbilt in an absolute shootout in Neyland. Like, that just does not help. It doesn't help that his defense is giving up 3rd and 18s to John Mateer in Oklahoma. Like all these things, I think at least the win versus loss could have changed had Joey just had a somewhat competent defense. And we're all kind of under the belief that, hey, the defense is going to get a lot better considering all the portal pickups and the coaching changes and everything like that. But I'm with you. I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose McIntyre. I don't think Faison. I know some fans feel differently. I don't think Faison committed here with the belief that he was going to play year one. I just don't think that's what happened. But it's also one of those things in college football. It's like you do have to play guys earlier and earlier, and it would suck to lose. It would definitely suck to lose a guy like McIntyre, Blake, without even knowing what we have in McIntyre. Like, without even knowing, okay, this guy's played, and like, okay, he's good or he's not good, whatever. We wouldn't even know. Like, if McIntyre, if Joey comes back, McIntyre doesn't play next year, and he decides to transfer because Faison is, breathing right down his neck, then, we would lose McIntyre without even knowing. And I've also made the point, because I know a lot of fans are looking to Faison. Like, a lot of fans are so excited, like they want the 5-star, whatever. Here's the deal. If McIntyre plays and is good, does it matter? Does it matter who we lose on? Like,
right.
We're just trying to find the next guy. Like, it really doesn't matter how you find your next quarterback. The question is, are you going to find your next quarterback? And is this guy the guy? Yeah, exactly. Is McIntyre the guy or not? So these next couple of months are going to be fascinating. It's going to be yet another offseason of us like, oh, quarterback competition. Who's the quarterback? Like, who's going to be the quarterback next year? So, cause I really do think, Blake, and you'll have to tell me what you think about this. I think if McIntyre and Faison are the two guys and Joey gets denied eligibility or goes somewhere else or whatever, I think it will be an honest competition. But if Joey's back, like, you're not bringing Joey Aguilar back, probably paying him $2 million plus NIL for him to compete with McIntyre and Faison. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, you're doing it for a very specific purpose. You're doing it to get Joey Aguilar back to be your starter. And Bender makes a great point in the chat. Having consecutive years of a starting QB again, we haven't had that in a while. I guess not really since Hendon.
And look what happens.
And then look what
happens. Like, a fantastic point. And Blake, not only that, it's the talent you're bringing back. Like, Joey's only basically losing Chris Brassel. Like, that's the only legitimate piece that you're losing. And by the way, you're bringing in Tristan Keys, who could be, the best receiver we've had in years. So I'm very intrigued by year 2 of Aguilar with all the returning weaponry that we have on offense.